I need to tell you about something that happened on the Blackwater Ridge Trail in West Virginia. And I need to tell you now before the people who want this story buried find a way to scrub it from the internet completely. What I'm about to share isn't some campfire tale or urban legend passed around by bored teenagers. This is real, documented, and the reason an entire section of the Appalachian wilderness remains closed to this day, 20 years later. My name is Marcus Webb, and in 2005, I was a park ranger stationed at the Monongahela National Forest. I've kept quiet about this for 2 decades because I was told to, because I was threatened, and honestly, because part of me wanted to forget it ever happened. But I can't anymore. The nightmares haven't stopped, and I think people deserve to know why their tax dollars are funding a permanent closure of 12 miles of pristine hiking trail that officially was shut down due to soil erosion and unstable geology. That's bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. The real reason has nothing to do with erosion. It has everything to do with what we found in August of 2005 and what found us first. Let me start from the beginning, because the details matter here. Every single one of them. It was August 14th, 2005. I remember because it was my daughter's birthday, and I'd promised my ex-wife I'd make it to the party by 6 p.m. I was supposed to have an easy day, just a routine trail check on Blackwater Ridge, maybe clear some fallen branches, check the markers, and head home early. The trail was popular with experienced hikers, a challenging route that wound through some of the most remote sections of the forest, passing by abandoned coal mining operations from the 1920s. I drove my Ranger pickup to the northern trailhead just after sunrise. The parking area was empty except for one vehicle, a blue Honda Civic with Maryland plates. That wasn't unusual. Solo hikers often started early to avoid the heat. I made a note of the license plate in my log, standard procedure, and headed up the trail. The first 3 miles were normal. I'd hiked Blackwater Ridge hundreds of times, knew every switchback and stream crossing. The morning was beautiful, that perfect late summer weather where the humidity hasn't quite murdered you yet. Birds were doing their thing, squirrels chattering in the oaks. Everything felt right. But around mile marker 4, things started feeling wrong. I can't explain it better than that. Just wrong. You know that feeling you get when you walk into a room right after people were talking about you? That prickly awareness that something's off. It was like that, but amplified. The forest got quiet. Not silent, but muted, like someone had turned down the volume on everything. I'm not some superstitious guy. I grew up in these mountains, spent my whole adult life in the woods. I don't spook easy, but I found myself checking over my shoulder every few minutes, hand drifting to the radio on my belt. At mile 5, I found the first piece of evidence that something was seriously wrong. It was a backpack. A nice one, North Face, practically brand new, sitting right in the middle of the trail. Not off to the side, like someone had set it down to rest, right in the center of the path, upright, like it had been placed there deliberately. I approached it carefully, called out a few times. No response. The forest swallowed my voice. I opened the pack and found the usual hiking gear. Water bottles, energy bars, a first aid kit, a wallet. The ID in the wallet belonged to a Brian Patterson, 34, from Silver Spring, Maryland. Same address as the Honda Civic's registration. Here's what bothered me. The water bottles were full. The energy bars were unopened. The first aid kit was still sealed in its packaging. Nobody hikes 5 miles into the Appalachian wilderness and abandons a full pack of supplies in the middle of the trail. Nobody. I radioed back to the station. Hey, this is Webb on Blackwater Ridge. Got a potential situation here. Found an abandoned pack at mile 5, belongs to a Brian Patterson. Running his info now. Static crackled back. Copy that, Webb. Need backup. Negative, not yet. Going to sweep the area, see if I can locate the hiker. Might have gone off trail to relieve himself or something. Keep us posted. I left the pack where it was and started searching the surrounding area, calling Patterson's name. The woods stayed quiet. Too quiet. I've learned to trust my gut over the years, and my gut was screaming at me to turn around, to go back to the truck, to get the hell off this trail. I didn't listen. I should have, but I didn't. 50 yards off the main trail, I found the tent. or what was left of it. The campsite was destroyed. I don't mean messy, like a bear had gotten into it. I mean systematically destroyed. The tent was shredded, fabric hanging in strips from the poles, sleeping bag torn open, filling scattered like snow, cooking equipment bent and twisted, and there was blood. Not a lot, but enough. Dark spatters on the tent fabric, on a nearby tree trunk, soaked into the ground. But no body. No sign of Patterson. My hand was shaking when I reached for my radio. "Station, this is Webb. I need backup now. I've got a destroyed campsite, signs of blood, still no sign of the hiker. This is looking like a serious situation." "Copy, Webb. Sending Torres and Kimball your way. ETA 40 minutes. Do not enter any potential crime scene. Hold your position." Crime scene. The words made it real. I wasn't looking at an accident anymore. Something bad had happened here. I should have waited. Standard protocol: secure the area, don't contaminate evidence, wait for backup. But I heard something. A sound coming from deeper in the woods, maybe 100 yards away. It was faint, but it sounded like someone crying. Like someone in pain. "Patterson?" I called out. "Brian Patterson, can you hear me? I'm a park ranger. I'm here to help." The crying stopped. The forest went dead silent again. Every instinct I had told me to stay put. Wait for Torres and Kimball. Don't go into those woods alone. But what if Patterson was out there, hurt, bleeding out? What if waiting 40 minutes meant the difference between life and death? I made a choice. The wrong choice, as it turned out. But I made it. I left the trail and headed into the dense forest toward where I'd heard the sound. The terrain got rough quick. Blackwater Ridge is old-growth forest, thick understory, lots of deadfall. I had to climb over fallen trees, push through mountain laurel thickets. I kept calling Patterson's name, kept my radio close, marked my path so I could find my way back. After about 10 minutes of bushwhacking, I saw it. A depression in the ground, maybe 15 feet across, like a shallow bowl carved into the hillside. And in the center of that depression was a hole. Not a cave, not a natural formation. A hole. Perfectly round, maybe 4 feet in diameter, descending straight down into darkness. The edges were too smooth, too precise. This wasn't natural erosion or an old mining shaft. This looked deliberately made, and recently. The earth around it was churned up, muddy, like something had been digging. I approached the edge carefully, pulled out my flashlight and shined it down into the hole. I couldn't see the bottom. The light just disappeared into blackness. But I could feel air moving, a cold draft rising up from below, and with it came a smell. God, that smell. Like rot and wet earth and something else, something chemical and wrong that made my eyes water, and then I heard the crying again. It was coming from the hole, from down in that impossible darkness. "Patterson, is that you? Can you hear me?" The crying stopped again, and then a voice answered me. A voice that didn't sound quite right, like someone imitating human speech without fully understanding how it worked. "Help me. Please help me. I'm hurt. I can't climb out." Everything in my body screamed danger. The voice was wrong. The words were right. The inflection was almost right, but there was something fundamentally wrong about it. Like listening to a recording played at slightly the wrong speed. "Patterson, is that you? How did you get down there?" "I fell. Please, it's dark. I'm bleeding. Please come down and help me." No one who'd fallen into a hole like that would ask someone to come down after them. They'd ask for rope, for rescue equipment. They'd ask you to call for help. I took a step back from the edge. "I'm calling for rescue. Stay calm. We'll get you out." "No." The voice changed, dropped lower, lost the pretense of humanity. "Come down here. Come down here now." I ran. I don't care how that sounds. I don't care if it makes me seem like a coward. I turned and I ran back through those woods as fast as I could move, leaving that thing behind, whatever it was. I could hear it following me. Not footsteps, something else. A dragging, scraping sound, moving through the underbrush, and that voice calling after me, cycling through different tones and pitches like it was trying to find the right one. "Help me. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me." I hit the destroyed campsite at a full sprint, didn't slow down, crashed through the woods back to the main trail. When I reached Blackwater Ridge Trail, I bent over, gasping, and looked back. Nothing. The forest was still, silent, normal, but I could feel it watching me. I knew with absolute certainty that something was in those trees, and it was waiting. I grabbed Patterson's abandoned backpack and made it back to the trailhead in record time. Torres and Kimball were just pulling up when I stumbled out of the woods. They took one look at my face and knew something was seriously wrong. "What happened?" Torres asked. She was a good ranger, 10 years experience, steady in a crisis. I tried to explain: the abandoned pack, the destroyed campsite, the hole, the voice. I could hear how crazy it sounded as the words came out of my mouth. Torres and Kimball exchanged a look. "Marcus," Kimball said carefully, "did you see anyone? Anything concrete?" "No, but I heard..." "You heard something that could have been an animal. Could have been the wind, could have been anything in those woods. You found a destroyed campsite. Could be a bear, could be vandals. Could be Patterson himself having some kind of episode." I wanted to argue, but what could I say? I heard a scary voice from a hole in the ground. They'd think I was losing it. "We need to sweep the area," I said. "Patterson's still missing. There's blood at the campsite." Torres nodded. "Agreed. We'll go in as a team, properly equipped." "Kimball, call it in. We need search and rescue, and we need to notify the local sheriff. This is officially a missing person case." Over the next 3 hours, we mobilized a proper search operation. 8 rangers, 4 sheriff's deputies, 2 search and rescue volunteers with dogs. We swept Blackwater Ridge Trail from end to end, searched the area around the destroyed campsite in a grid pattern. We found the campsite exactly as I'd described it. We found the blood. We took samples, photographs, documented everything. But we couldn't find the hole. I led them right to where it should have been. I was sure of the location. I'd marked my path. I knew exactly where I'd gone. We searched that entire section of woods. No hole, no depression in the ground, nothing. Torres pulled me aside. "Marcus, are you feeling okay? Did you maybe get turned around, get confused about the location?" "I know what I saw," I said, but doubt was creeping in. Had I imagined it? Had I gotten disoriented, panicked, made up details in my head? The search dogs were going crazy though. Both of them refused to go into certain sections of the woods, pulled hard on their leashes, whined and barked. Their handlers had never seen them act like that. One dog, a German shepherd named Buck, who'd been on dozens of search operations, actually tucked his tail and bolted, ran a quarter mile before his handler could catch him. "Something's wrong here," the handler said. "Animals can sense things we can't. Whatever's got Buck spooked, it's real." We searched until dark, found nothing. No Patterson, no hole, no explanation. Just a destroyed campsite and an abandoned car at the trailhead. We set up a command post at the parking area, brought in lights and generators. The plan was to continue searching at first light. I was sent home, told to get some rest, write up my report. I didn't sleep. I sat in my apartment, replaying everything in my head. The voice from the hole kept echoing in my memory. "Come down here. Come down here now." At 3 a.m., my phone rang. It was Torres. "Marcus, we've got another situation. You need to get back here now." "What's going on?" "Just get here, now." I made the drive in 20 minutes, breaking every speed limit. The trailhead parking area was chaos. Emergency vehicles everywhere, lights strobing, people shouting. I found Torres standing near the tree line, staring into the woods. Her face was white. "What happened?" I asked. She pointed. "Kimball went in 2 hours ago, solo. Said he wanted to check something, radioed that he'd found something interesting. We haven't heard from him since. His GPS tracker stopped moving at mile 4, right near where you found Patterson's pack." My blood went cold. "Tell me you didn't send anyone else in after him." "We sent a 2-man team. They reported hearing something, some kind of sound they couldn't identify, and then their radios cut out. We lost contact 15 minutes ago. GPS shows them stopped, not moving, in the same area." This was bad. This was really bad. 4 people now, Patterson, Kimball, and 2 rescue workers, all disappearing in the same section of trail. The sheriff arrived, a gruff old-timer named Dutch Coleman who'd been in law enforcement for 30 years. He listened to Torres's briefing, asked a few questions, then made a decision. "We're shutting it down. Nobody else goes in until daylight, and then we go in heavy." I want state police. I want forestry service. I want every available body. We treat this as a hostage situation until proven otherwise." "Hostage situation?" I asked. "What are you thinking, Sheriff?" "I'm thinking 4 people don't just vanish from the same spot without human involvement. Could be some survivalist nut job has a bunker out there. Could be drug operation, could be anything. But we go in prepared for the worst." I didn't argue, but I knew he was wrong. This wasn't human. Whatever was on that trail, it wasn't human. We waited through the longest night of my life. As dawn broke, the operation mobilized. 32 people, fully equipped, armed, state police SWAT team, forestry service law enforcement, park rangers, sheriff's deputies. We looked like we were invading a small country. I was assigned to the secondary sweep team. We'd go in after the SWAT team cleared the immediate area. Standard tactical approach, treat it like a potential armed suspect situation. The SWAT team entered the trail at first light. We watched their GPS markers move up the trail, professional and coordinated. They reached mile 4 without incident, the spot where everyone had disappeared. And then, one by one, their GPS trackers stopped moving. We could hear them on the radio. First there was chatter, normal communication, then confusion, then silence. 20 minutes after entering that section of trail, we'd lost contact with all 12 SWAT team members. Sheriff Coleman made the call. "Everyone out. We're evacuating. This is above our pay grade." But it was too late. Because that's when they started coming back. The first one to emerge from the woods was Officer Davidson from the SWAT team. He walked out of the tree line slowly, mechanically, like a puppet on strings. His face was blank, expressionless. He didn't respond to his name, didn't react when Coleman approached him. "Davidson, what happened? Where's the rest of your team?" Davidson's head turned toward the sheriff with a jerking motion, too fast, too precise. When he spoke, his voice had that same wrong quality I'd heard from the hole, that uncanny valley tone that was almost human but not quite. "They're waiting, down below. They want you to come down, all of you. It's time to come down now." Then his eyes rolled back in his head, and he collapsed. Paramedics rushed in, started working on him. His vitals were stable, but he was unresponsive, like he'd shut down completely. Over the next hour, 6 more SWAT team members emerged from the woods in the same state. Blank expressions, mechanical movements, speaking in those wrong voices about going down below, then collapsing into catatonia. The rest never came back. 5 SWAT officers, Kimball, the 2 rescue workers, and Brian Patterson, 9 people, gone. That's when the federal government stepped in. I don't know who made the call or what authority they claimed, but by noon, the entire area was locked down. Black SUVs rolled in, men in suits with earpieces, vehicles with no markings. They took over the operation completely, didn't explain anything, just started issuing orders. We were all separated, interviewed individually. I spent 4 hours in a trailer with 2 men who identified themselves as federal investigators, but wouldn't say from what agency. They wanted to know everything about what I'd seen, every detail about the hole, the voice, everything. When I finished, they made me sign a non-disclosure agreement, told me that what happened on Blackwater Ridge was a matter of national security, that I was not to discuss it with anyone, including other rangers, including my family. That violations would result in federal prosecution. "What the hell is going on?" I demanded. "What's out there?" The older investigator, a guy with gray hair and tired eyes, looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Mr. Webb, there are places in these mountains that are older than human civilization, places that were here long before we built our towns and highways. Most of the time, we coexist just fine. But sometimes the boundaries get thin. Sometimes things that should stay separate start bleeding together. What you found on Blackwater Ridge is one of those places." "That's not an answer," I said. "It's the only answer you're going to get. The trail is being permanently closed. The area will be monitored. And you're going to forget this ever happened. Are we clear?" I signed the NDA. What choice did I have? Within a week, Blackwater Ridge Trail was officially closed due to geological instability. The story the media got was that old mining operations had created dangerous subsidence zones, that the area was unsafe for recreational use. It was clean, simple, and completely fabricated. I kept working as a ranger for another 3 years, but I transferred to a different forest. Couldn't stand being near Blackwater Ridge. Every time I drove past the closed trailhead, I'd think about what was out there, still waiting in the woods. The 7 SWAT team members who came back stayed catatonic for 3 weeks. Then, one by one, they woke up. But they were different. Changed. They all quit their jobs within 6 months. Last I heard, 5 of them moved far away from Appalachia, to flat states with no forests. 1 committed suicide, 1 disappeared. Brian Patterson's family hired private investigators, filed lawsuits, made noise. The federal government paid them a quiet settlement, and the case went away. The 5 missing SWAT officers were declared dead, cause unknown, bodies never recovered. Kimball and the 2 rescue workers got the same treatment. 9 people just erased from the record like they never existed. But I couldn't forget. And over the years I started researching. Not obvious research, nothing that would violate my NDA, just casual reading. Local history, Appalachian folklore, old mining records, and I found things. Patterns. Blackwater Ridge wasn't the first closure. There are dozens of permanently closed areas throughout the Appalachian Mountains. Some are official, some are just places where people don't go anymore, where locals will tell you to stay away without quite explaining why. Every single one has stories attached. Hikers who went missing, strange sounds in the woods, places where animals won't go. The mining records were interesting too. Those old coal operations from the 1920s. They shut down abruptly. Not because the coal ran out. The official records cite difficult working conditions and worker safety concerns, but I found newspaper archives from the local papers of the time. Miners reporting strange sounds deep in the shafts. Men disappearing during shifts. A foreman who came up from the deep tunnels talking about voices in the dark, about something asking to be let out. The mine shut down in 1927 after an incident where 12 miners went down for a shift and only 3 came back up. The 3 who returned were described as changed and not in their right minds. 2 were institutionalized, 1 hanged himself. The mine was sealed, filled with concrete, but mines are complex systems, networks of tunnels and shafts that spread underground like roots. You can seal the entrance, but you can't seal everything. I think something lived in those old mines, something that had been there long before humans dug into the mountain, and I think the mining operations disturbed it, gave it access to the surface world. For a while, sealing the mine was enough to contain it. But eventually, it found another way out. That hole I found, I think that was it breaking through, digging its way up from the deep places. And I think what it wanted was what it had always wanted, to feed. The voice, the mimicry, the way it called people down into the darkness, that was bait, like an anglerfish using a lure. It studied the hikers, learned enough about human behavior to craft an appeal that would work. Help me, I'm hurt, come down here. The most fundamental human instinct to help someone in distress weaponized against us. And when people came close enough, when they looked down into that hole, it took them. Dragged them down into the tunnels below. The ones who came back, the SWAT team members, I think those were the ones it didn't want. It took what it needed from them, studied them, learned from them, and sent them back as a message. Or a warning. What I can't figure out is what it did with the others. Patterson, Kimball, the 5 SWAT officers, the rescue workers. Are they dead? Or are they down there in the dark, serving some purpose I can't imagine? The thought keeps me up at night. I've spent 20 years carrying this secret, and it's been eating me alive. The nightmares are constant. I'll be in those woods again, hearing that voice calling from the hole, and I'll wake up in a cold sweat, convinced I can smell that rot and chemical wrongness. But here's what really terrifies me. I don't think it's unique. I think there are other things like it, scattered throughout these mountains, in all those closed areas that dot the Appalachian wilderness. Ancient things, inhuman things, that we've built our civilization on top of without ever realizing they were there. Most of the time, the boundaries hold, but sometimes they don't. And when they fail, people disappear, and the government steps in, and the area gets closed, and a cover story gets written, and everyone moves on like nothing happened. Except it did happen. It's still happening. And it's going to keep happening as long as we pretend these places don't exist. I'm violating my NDA by telling you this. I could face federal prosecution. But I'm 63 years old now, retired, and I figure I've kept quiet long enough. People have a right to know what's out there. They have a right to know why these trails are really closed. If you're planning to hike in the Appalachian Mountains, please be careful. Respect the closures. Don't go into areas that are marked off limits. And if you're ever on a trail and you start to feel that wrongness, that sense that something is fundamentally off, trust your instinct. Turn around. Get out. Don't wait to investigate. Don't try to be a hero. Because there are things in these mountains that are older and stranger than we can comprehend, and they don't think like we do, and they don't want what we want. And if you encounter one, the best case scenario is that you end up like those SWAT team members, traumatized, changed, but alive. The worst case, you end up like Patterson and the others. Gone, erased, feeding something in the dark that should never have been disturbed in the first place. I've been thinking a lot lately about what that federal investigator said, about boundaries getting thin, about things bleeding together, because here's what I haven't told anyone, what I've been too scared to even admit to myself. Last month, I drove past Blackwater Ridge for the first time in years, just passing through on my way to visit my daughter. And I saw that the closure signs were gone, not removed by officials, just gone, weathered away or torn down. And there were cars in the parking area, hikers getting ready to head up the trail. I stopped. I tried to warn them, told them the trail was dangerous, that they shouldn't go. But they just looked at me like I was a crazy old man. The official closure was lifted 3 years ago, they said. Trails been reopened, perfectly safe. The geological issues were resolved. I called the Forestry Service, demanded to know what was going on. They confirmed it. Blackwater Ridge Trail was officially reopened in 2022. A new survey showed the area was stable. The closure was deemed unnecessary. But I never got any notification. And I was on that original response team. I should have been consulted, should have been informed. Unless the people making these decisions didn't know what really happened, unless the institutional memory had been deliberately erased, along with all the witnesses. Those federal agents in the black SUVs, they're probably long gone, retired, transferred, dead. The story they suppressed died with them, and now some bureaucrat in an office somewhere, looking at budget spreadsheets and liability assessments, decided to reopen the trail without understanding why it was closed in the first place. I've been monitoring the local news. 3 hikers have gone missing on Blackwater Ridge in the past 8 months. Different times, different circumstances. The official line is that the Appalachian wilderness is dangerous. People get lost. It happens. Search and rescue finds most of them, but 3 people vanished without a trace. No bodies recovered. And the pattern is familiar. Too familiar. I think it's waking up again. Or maybe it never slept. Maybe we just contained it for a while, and now the boundaries are failing again, and it's hungry. I'm writing this down, posting it online, sending it to journalists and researchers and anyone who might listen. I'm documenting everything I remember from August 2005. Because if I'm right, if this is starting again, then people need to know. They need to understand what they're walking into when they lace up their boots and head up that trail. The federal government won't acknowledge this. They can't. How do you explain to the public that there are places on the map that should stay empty, that there are things in the wilderness that don't fit into our understanding of reality? You can't. So they lie and they cover it up and they hope it goes away. But it's not going away. It's never going away. We built our world on top of theirs, and every now and then they remind us that they're still here, still waiting, still hungry. So that's the real reason Blackwater Ridge Trail was closed. Not erosion, not unstable geology. It was closed because something lives in those mountains, something that emerged from the deep places beneath the earth, something that learned to mimic human voices and lure people into the darkness. And now that trail is open again, and that something is still there, and people are disappearing, and the cycle is starting over. I don't know what to do with this information. I'm one old man with a story that sounds like a bad horror movie. But I know what I saw, I know what I heard, and I know that 9 people went into those woods and never came back. If this reaches you, if you're reading this, please take it seriously. Don't dismiss it as the ramblings of a paranoid retired ranger. Look into it. Ask questions. Demand answers about those closures, about the missing hikers, about what's really going on in the remote sections of the Appalachian wilderness. And for God's sake, if you're anywhere near the Monongahela National Forest, stay off Blackwater Ridge Trail. I don't care what the official signs say. I don't care if the maps show it as open. Stay away, because the boundaries are thin there. Because something old and hungry lives in those mountains. And because every person who disappears on that trail is feeding something that should never be fed. I've lived with this secret for 20 years, and it's destroyed me. The nightmares, the guilt, the knowledge that I couldn't save those people and I can't prevent what's coming next. But at least now it's documented. At least now someone knows the truth. What you do with that truth is up to you. But please remember this. The Appalachian Mountains are ancient. They were old when humans first arrived on this continent, and they'll be here long after we're gone. And in all that time, in all those millions of years, do you really think we're the first species to live here? Do you really think we're alone? We're not. We never have been. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner we learn to respect the boundaries between their world and ours, the fewer people will disappear into the darkness beneath the hills. I'm done running from this. I'm done keeping quiet. This is my testimony, my confession, my warning. Make of it what you will. But don't say I didn't warn you when you hear about the next disappearance on Blackwater Ridge. Don't say I didn't try to tell the truth when the federal agents show up again, when the trail gets closed again, when another cover story gets written and another piece of the wilderness gets erased from the maps. The thing in those mountains is patient. It survived for eons. It can wait, and it knows that eventually humans will forget. We always do. We close the trail, we post the signs, we warn people away. And then time passes, and budgets get tight and memories fade, and some administrator decides the closure isn't necessary anymore, and the trail reopens, and the hikers return, and the feeding begins again. That's the cycle, that's the pattern. And unless we break it, unless we acknowledge what's really out there and take permanent action, it's going to keep repeating forever. I wish I had a better ending for this story. I wish I could tell you that the authorities handled it properly, that the threat was neutralized, that everyone lived happily ever after. But that's not what happened. The threat wasn't neutralized, it's still there, and people are still disappearing. All I can do is tell you what I know and hope that someone, somewhere, takes it seriously enough to investigate, to ask the hard questions, to demand the truth about why these closures exist and what's being hidden in the deepest, darkest parts of the Appalachian wilderness. Because the truth matters. Those 9 people who vanished in 2005, they matter. The 3 hikers who've disappeared since the trail reopened, they matter. And all the future victims, the ones who'll be taken if we don't do something, they matter most of all. This is Marcus Webb, former park ranger, signing off. I've said what I needed to say. I've broken my silence. Whatever comes next, at least I'll know I tried to warn people. Stay safe out there. Respect the mountains. And remember, when a trail is closed, there's usually a damn good reason for it. Even if they'll never tell you what that reason really is.